All right, everyone. The other day there was a shooting at the CDC headquarters, actually, by a man named Christopher White. Allegedly, he's dead, so I'm assuming he probably was the shooter. It's not entirely clear whether he shot himself or was shot by the police, by the way, and there was one casualty, other than that, David Rose, actually, a security guard, who was responding. Apparently, he tried to attack a pharmacy or something like that beforehand. Details are not 100% clear on this particular case. Normally, I do not weigh in on shootings. The reason that I don't weigh in on shootings is probably evident. I don't want to give any more latitude to the anti-gunners to say, well, guns bad. If only we banned guns more, this sort of thing wouldn't happen. I mean, you're completely wrong, but that's the argument that they tend to make. So, generally speaking, I don't really weigh in on shootings at all. On this one, I do want to weigh in on, though. And that's because the CDC is pushing for additional censorship as a result of this particular incident. And they came out with their release awfully fast now, wasn't it? I'm sure that's a coincidence. Almost immediately, they were not only calling for more security at CDC sites, which, I mean, that's fine. You want more security guards, whatever. Personally, I would just say everyone should just, open carry or something like that, but and that would be too easy. It would be too non-authoritarian, too libertarian for their tastes, I suppose. But then they were also calling for a crackdown on so-called misinformation with regards to vaccination and medical stuff, because apparently, and this is just alleged, we don't 100% know this. This is a claim made about him. Apparently, the shooter was blaming the coof jab for his suicidal tendencies. He was depressed, and he blamed the coof jab for this. As a result, they're calling for more crackdowns on so-called disinformation. I personally do not believe in this kind of censorship. That's because I'm a red-blooded American. I believe people should be able to express whatever opinions they have in the public square, in private, etc. The CDC, therefore, is revealing itself, as it literally is, as just another authoritarian bureau, basically. People should be able to ask questions about these things. Maybe he wouldn't have been so depressed if he wasn't so repressed by the system itself. You've had a situation for years now. I mean, just look at YouTube, where the government and big tech have colluded to try to stanch out any discussion of the safety or the effectiveness or anything else with regards to the vaccine, with regards to a certain disease that shall not be named. They will openly ban you for even discussing it. Even questioning anything that comes from the CDC or the WHO is a bannable offense, for example, on YouTube, which is why we have to be nuanced when we talk about this on this video. Maybe people would be a little bit less depressed if they were actually able to air their grievances, talk about things. If somebody is depressed, and they think that it has to do with getting the coof jab or something like that, then they should be able to talk about it. When people talk about things, it tends to be a release valve for a pressure valve. It's the same thing with racism, and I spoke about this years ago. With regards to race, if people are allowed to talk about things, then they're not shooting each other. If people are allowed to talk about things, they're not stabbing each other. If they're allowed to talk about things, they're not making a crate full of Molotov cocktails. If they feel like they can be heard, if they're not repressed, if they're capable of expressing themselves, they tend to be less violent. And so things like this really are the result of the same censorship that the CDC is actually attempting to create. And it's a think of the children moment. Well, people will be hurt if people are allowed to express opinions about vaccines that we don't agree with. Look, I am pro-vaccine. I'm not pro all vaccines. I think you know the ones that I'm talking about. I've talked about them before on New Tech Exclusives. That being said, I do agree that vaccination for certain diseases is perfectly fine. It's a great idea, although it needs to be mixed with sanitation, public education, and things of that nature. Good nutrition, which is hard to find under Bidenomics, by the way. Eventually, it'll be a Trumponomic economy for sure, and hopefully that will be better. It'll take a little time to adjust. Ultimately, though, I don't believe in censoring people on the issue. Like, I know somebody, for example, who has several kids, and she hasn't gotten them vaccinated for literally anything under the sun. They might have been vaccinated by her ex. I'm not 100% sure. I do not agree with this. I believe that, like, measles, mumps, and rubella, that sort of makes sense. Hey, your child didn't get sick and get scarified and have, like, pock marks on their face for their whole life. That being said, if a person wants to engage in that lifestyle, speak out against what they believe is medically useless, according to their opinion, they should not be censored for that. They should be able to air their opinion. The proper thing to do when you disagree with someone is let them speak. If you truly think that they're wrong, and you can show that they're wrong, you should debate them. That's the proper way to do things. This is, by the way, one of the main things that our founders did back in the day. Rhetoric and debate and public, oratory and things like that, storytelling. That was the main form of entertainment for many people. They would get up on a stump and deliver a speech. They would get together and they would debate in the church hall and stuff like that. It was one of the main things that they did. This is one of the reasons why the First Amendment is so important. This was, before TV and radio and stuff like that. This was one of the main forms of entertainment for a lot of people. And they found it hilarious. You'd get riled up and people would throw cabbages maybe and stuff like that. And it was considered a form of entertainment more than anything else. I don't know exactly how many people's minds were changed at some of those debates. Sometimes they, again, devolved into vegetable throwing, but beyond that, it's still rather fun, honestly. So, with regards to the shooting, I mean, sorry to the family of David Rose, because he was just doing his job, but really it's being misused by the legacy media. It's being misused by the CDC. It's being used as propaganda more than anything else. That's about all. Peace out.